Have you ever read a book that just completely flips your perspective on something? Well, for millions of people, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad is that book when it comes to money. It's all built around this really powerful story of two father figures, each with a totally different view on finance. So let's jump right in and unpack this.
And boom, right out of the gate, you see the central conflict. On one side, you've got his poor dad, his actual father, a super smart academic who basically thought wanting money was bad. He'd say things like, the love of money is the root of all evil. Then, on the other side, there's rich dad, his friend's dad, who didn't even finish middle school. His take? No, the lack of money is the root of all evil. I mean, you can't get two more different viewpoints, right? And this one idea really is the foundation for everything else in the book.
Okay, so we've got these two dads, but what's the big problem the book is trying to tackle? Well, it's something I think a lot of us can relate to. Kiyosaki calls it the rat race. You know the feeling, right? That hamster wheel of get up, go to work, earn a paycheck, pay the bills, and then do it all over again, never really getting ahead. That's the trap he's talking about escaping. So what keeps us stuck on this hamster wheel? According to Rich Dad, it boils down to two really powerful human emotions, fear and greed. Think about it. The fear of not being able to pay your rent or buy groceries, that's what gets you up in the morning and sends you to a job you might not even like. But then what happens when you get that paycheck? That's when greed, or let's just call it desire, kicks in. You see a new car, a vacation, a nice dinner, and poof, the money is gone. That 1-2 punch of fear and desire is the engine of the rat race.
To really see this trap in action, we've got to follow the money. Let's look at the cash flow pattern for most people, what the book calls the poor and middle class.
All right, here's how it usually goes. That paycheck lands in your bank account, and it's like it has 100 places to be, right? A big chunk goes to taxes, right off the top. Then another slice goes to the mortgage or rent. Then the car payment, then credit card bills. Before you know it, your income has come in one door and gone straight out the other. There's little, if anything, left over to actually build your wealth. And that, right there, is the rat race in action.
So how do you get off the wheel? Is there a secret? Well, according to Rich Dad, there is. It comes down to one core lesson, a single rule that he says is the absolute key to separating the rich from, well, everyone else.
And here's the rule. It's so simple, it's almost genius. Forget everything you learned in accounting class. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. That's it. Simple as that. It makes you money.
And the flip side, a liability. That's anything that takes money out of your pocket. It costs you money. It doesn't matter what you call it or what the bank calls it. All that matters is, which way is the cash flowing? Is it flowing to you or away from you?
Okay, so this super simple definition leads us to probably the most controversial idea in the entire book. Ready for it? Your house. Yeah, the one you live in. We're all taught it's our biggest asset, right? But let's use Rich Dad's logic. Does it put money in your pocket every month? Or with the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and repairs, does it take money out of your pocket? By this definition, is your house an asset or is it actually a liability?
This is really the whole game right here. It's about focus. Most people are focused on getting a raise. They're trying to increase the number on their paycheck. But the rich, they're playing a different game. They're not just focused on their paycheck, they're obsessed with building their asset column. They spend their time and energy buying things that will generate more paychecks for them down the line.
So what does that actually look like? How does money flow differently for the rich? Let's take a look at their cash flow pattern, and you'll see how this whole thing just snowballs. See, it's a totally different picture. Instead of income going straight to expenses, the rich take their money and buy assets first. Things like rental properties, stocks, or a piece of a business. And then those assets start to work for them, generating new income, rent, dividends, you name it. And what do they do with that new income? They use it to pay their bills, sure, but the really crucial part is they use it to buy even more assets. It becomes this amazing, self-perpetuating wealth machine. So the strategy that falls out of all this is incredibly simple, but also really profound. The advice is, mind your own business. Now, what does that mean? Kiyosaki tells this awesome story about Ray Kroc, the guy behind McDonald's. He was giving a talk to some students, and he asked them, "What business am I in?" And of course, everyone said, "The hamburger business." And he just laughed and said, "No, I'm not in the hamburger business. My business is real estate." See, he knew that the real money wasn't in selling burgers. It was in owning the valuable piece of land under every single golden arch. And that story perfectly explains the difference, right? Your profession, That's your 9 to 5. That's what you do to earn a salary and keep the lights on. But your business, that's your asset column. That's what you build on the side to create real wealth. The book's advice isn't to quit your job tomorrow. No way. It's to keep your day job, but start minding your own business by buying assets in your spare time.
Okay, so this all brings us to the final and honestly the most important point of the entire book. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about the money. It's about what's between your ears.
I love this quote. Money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. We've all heard the stories, right? Someone wins the lottery, gets millions of dollars, and a few years later, they're completely broke. Why? Because having money isn't the same as knowing about money. True, lasting wealth isn't just about having a big pile of cash. It's about having the intelligence to grow it and keep it.
And that right there is the ultimate secret of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Your single most powerful asset isn't a stock, it's not a piece of real estate, it's your mind. The best investment you can ever make is investing in your own financial IQ. Learning how to spot opportunities, how to read financial statements, how to manage risk, that is what builds wealth that lasts a lifetime.
So, how do you do that? How do you get smarter about money? Well, the book lays out a pretty clear path. First, you have to just stop and take an honest look at your current habits. What's working, what's not. Next, you've got to start feeding your brain with new ideas. Read books, listen to podcasts, take a seminar, whatever it takes. And maybe most importantly, find a mentor. Find someone who's already achieved what you want to achieve and learn everything you can from them. Which brings us to the final mind-bending idea. Money isn't really real. I mean, it's just paper or numbers on a screen. It's an idea that we've all agreed has value. And the big takeaway from the book is that the rich simply have a different idea about money than everyone else. So the final question it leaves you with is a powerful one. Money is just an idea. What's yours going to be?